Welcome back into the Pig Trail Show. Another week, another Arkansas football recruiting report. I'm Jacob Morris, joined as always by Otis Kirk. And Otis, it might be the off season for football, but still recruiting news to talk about. And so two big commitments for the Razorbacks this week and this weekend. The first, Quentin Murphy, a three-star 2025 athlete out of Little Rock Parkview, was originally committed to Ole Miss. Arkansas kind of stayed on him. And Otis, eventually, Arkansas comes through and gets their man.
Yeah, persistence paid off. The day when he attended camp a couple of years ago up here, he told me if Arkansas offered, he would commit. And then he kind of waited around. I think, stuff went on. He started getting a lot more offers maybe than he thought. He committed to Ole Miss, but then he got to think about it. And then at the end of the school, after last year at Joe T, he switched to Little Rock Parkview for this coming fall. And so, he's a quarterback. I had his stats on Pig Trail Nation Hogville Story, but he's going to be an athlete at Arkansas, Jacob. He could play. Quentin's a good athlete. He could play a lot of positions. I mean, he could play quarterback, running back, wide receiver, secondary. So he's 6'1", 205, very good, very athletic. So he's got a lot of options. Where he'll definitely play. I'm sure they'll look at him at different positions. But the main thing is he is one of 5 kids at Parkview have hold Arkansas offers. And 4 of them are in the 2025 class. So 4 down and 1 to go there. And then there's a 2026 linebacker, Ja'Cory Smith from Parkview, he's not committed. He's been offered by Arkansas. Couple of them, Marion Robinson and another one or two are going to visit here. Robinson will be here next weekend, and so will I believe it's Elston's going to be here next weekend, and then Cameron settles the following weekend, if my memory's serving me right. But the weird thing about not weird, but the crazy thing about Parkview is Brad Bowden went there, and kids were leaving there to go to other schools so they could get recruited. And now he's built a factory there. I mean, they're a football factory. Arkansas's offered 5 kids there. Everybody. I mean, there's schools from all over the country offering those players. And now players want to go to Parkview because they can get recruited. And not only that, they've got one of the best football teams in the country, not just Arkansas. I'd love to see them play Greenwood. That would be one heck of a game, man. I mean, that would be one heck of a game. And I don't know who'd win. Don't really care. I just know it'd be a great game, be a bunch of good kids out there playing each other and very, very good athletes. But anyway, we'll see. Robinson's got some schools. He eliminated Georgia this week, so that helped. But he's still got OU and others on his list. He's a 4-star. He's probably, in all honesty, the prize of the 25 group. They're all good. Don't get me wrong, but Settles, Elston, and are 3 stars, but Robinson's a 4-star. I think Ja'Cory Smith's a 4-star. I'm pretty sure he's a 4-star too. But they're all very good players, athletes. And the thing about all those Parkview kids, they can play more than one position.
Yeah.
So we'll see where they end up playing. But anyway, that was good. You're going for 5. You got the first one announces, you get him. So you can't start any better than that, Jacob. Don't mean they'll close that way, but we'll see. But you can't start any better than that if you're talking about, trying to get a connection going there at Parkview with those kids. I mean, man, I remember when Parkview, Ricky Williams, Keith Jackson, James Rouse, Anthony Chambers, man, they were a football factory. And they're getting back to that under Brad Bowling. The job, I can't say enough about the job he's done. He's an elite coach. He's an elite coach.
Yeah,
and the kids love him, and he works hard to get them scholarship, Jacob.
Yeah. Yeah, and to your point, right, you can't go 5 for 5 unless you go 1 for 1. So that's a start for the Razorbacks there. But Murphy, not the only commitment this weekend. Blake Cherry, 3-star 2025. Lineman out of Oklahoma, and you were telling me, you maybe expected Murphy coming in, not so much Cherry, but an offensive line commitment again for this staff.
I thought Cherry was going to be in about 2 weeks. He visits Arkansas. Not next weekend, but the following weekend. And I knew he was going to be a Razorback. I did not expect it. None of us expected it yesterday. It kind of blindsided us, but hey, it's good news for the we've talked about the day he visited that prospect day, the next day on here, I believe it was you and I I believe as you and I talked about that group of schools over in Tulsa area, Wasso, Booker T,
Yeah.
Broken Arrow, Union, Jinx. I mean, it's just they're football players every year over there. Keon Hatcher came to Arkansas from Wasso. I'm just telling you, man, they're a prospect. Though, if you made a living, you can make a living recruiting to Oklahoma just to hit those 5 schools. And I know I've beaten that horse to death, but it's true. I mean, here's Blake Cherry. It just seems like every year there's somebody from one of those 5 schools, if not more. And they've got other prospects, but that's a good school. Blake is about 6'5", 6'6", 295. Can play offensive tackle, offensive guard. With Sam, he likes to cross train these kids. He started that with COVID, and it worked. So he kept doing it. He likes to have them where they can play the interior lineman. He likes them to play center and guard. That tackles, he likes them to be able to also play guard if they need to. And so that's a good idea. And Blake will help Arkansas. I really like him. I like both those kids that committed, but I mean, Cherry had Oklahoma State and Nebraska and other offers. He had some good offers, but OU had not offered, but basically everybody else had that recruits over there.
Yeah, and we've talked, you mentioned it, that area, right? When obviously it's not in state, but when you think about how close it is in proximity, it doesn't make sense not to hammer that area recruiting wise, especially given the amount of kids. We were talking, right? It's far enough to be away from home, but it is close enough to be very reachable for all those kids. It doesn't make sense not to go and look in that area over and over again.
Well, people don't realize it's about like a trip to Little Rock.
Literally.
About the same distance, a couple hours, maybe a little less. But I mean, it's about like a trip to Little Rock.
Yeah.
And you don't think much about Little Rock. You think, well, I've got to go to Oklahoma. If you go to Tulsa, it's like driving to Little Rock. So, you're talking a 2 hour or less, blah, blah, I can't talk, 2 hour or less trip. So yeah, it's a natural recruit that. And they have prospects, that area, not just those 5 schools, but Beggs and other schools, they have talent every year over there. Wagner, so there's schools over there, and it's definitely worth your time checking it out. And Arkansas seems to do. I know Cherry was one of their priorities over in Oklahoma this year. He was one of their priorities. They've had kids from Oklahoma, Cam Little, and Bryce Stevens, a bunch of players from Oklahoma, Felix Jones. I mean, Keon Hatcher, we mentioned earlier. We could go on and on naming players from Oklahoma, and I'd probably leave off a million. But I'm just saying, it's just that area, Tulsa, is just so close to Arkansas, and there's guaranteed talent there. So, you've got to go over there. And of course, Sam Pittman and staff is very organized. Mateus is very familiar with that area. And he got Blake Cherry, and that's going to be a good addition for the Hawks. Both those players are going to help Arkansas, but I really like what Blake Cherry brings to the offensive line.
Yeah,
that's some good size.
Yeah, big size. You mentioned Coach Mateos. It seems like he's really cruising recruiting-wise in terms of he's offering early, he's getting kids, and it seems like priority targets are coming to Arkansas if he places a priority on it. And listen, you got to win in the trenches, and it seems like he's doing a good job so far while being in Fayetteville.
I like he's aggressive. He's more I love Cody Kendi, but he's more aggressive than Cody was on the younger offers. Cody was aggressive on the older kids, but not as aggressive on the young. Mateus, Eric gets out here and is very aggressive on the younger kids and very aggressive on all of he's a very good recruiter. We're going to talk about these kids that was here this weekend, but Cash Courtney, Carthage, Texas, committed to Baylor when Eric was there. He came in for an official visit this weekend. He said, the reason that I'm here is because of Eric Mateus, and he's right now it's 50-50 Arkansas and Baylor, and he's committed to Baylor. So that's a pretty good sign. He's Carthage, an offensive guard. I'll tell you an interesting name that we haven't talked about on here is Austin Pay. He's from American Long Peak, Utah. And you don't get very many kids from Utah visiting Arkansas. But here's the deal with Pay. He's an offensive, he's 6'6". This kid's huge. He's 6'6", 295, 300. And man, he looks like he carried another 30 pounds. I mean, he's a big kid, and he's legit. He's 6'6". I mean, he was a mountain. And I asked him, I said, is Arkansas the distance? He was here this weekend. Was the distance too much? He said, no, I'm going to go to NC State in a couple of weeks. It's longer. But he said the he said, the reason I'm at Arkansas, Eric Mateus was at BYU and offered me there. He went to Baylor, he offered me there, and now he's offered me at Arkansas. He said, Eric Mateus and Coach Sam Pittman's reputation, him being one of the best offensive line coaches in the history of college football. That's why I'm visiting Arkansas. And so, I mean, NC State, Oregon, Texas A&M, and Arkansas are in the top 4 for Austin Peay. And he's 6'6". Like I said, the kid's, I list him at 295, but I'm going to tell you, I will not be surprised if he's at 340 in college. And I don't mean an ounce of fat either. I mean, he looks like he could put on 30 pounds today and still be, not skinny, but I mean, still be trim. He's just huge, man. And then another kid that come up this weekend was Logan Schramm from Boerne, Texas. I learned how to pronounce that. He told me how to pronounce it. I thought it was born Boer, N-E, and I thought it was Boerne, Texas, but it's Boerne, Texas, or Bourne, Texas, but it's Boerne, Texas, home of the wrestler, so big time wrestler Goldberg from there. Everybody associates Tulsa with Bill Goldberg, but he was or Georgia and stuff, but he's from that town. Actually got a son that Logan said plays at the opposite school down there in Boerne. But anyway, Logan, he is 6'6", 317 or so. And man, he's thicker than Peay. But I don't know if he's got as much. I mean, he don't need to grow, but I don't know if he's got as much room to put on. He's got room to put on more. But what I'm saying with Peay, you look at him and you think that kid could put on 30 or 40 pounds. With Schramm, you really don't need to. He don't have to put on a whole lot. He's like 6'6", 320 right now, but he's thick. He's thicker. So he's a little bit different than Peay. But boy, you talking about those guys look like somebody you might be going down to see the Dallas Cowboys or the New Orleans Saints or somebody instead of the Arkansas Razorbacks to look at kids. So yeah, Mateus is doing a great job recruiting, bringing in kids like that. And one theme that I heard from the I think there was I don't think there was 13 visitors here this weekend. I caught 10 of them, or 11 actually, but one I started at 5:30 this morning. One was gone before I got there, so I don't know, man. He can miss me. I'm not getting up before 5:30, especially when I covered a baseball game that we went to after riding and everything till after midnight. But anyway, one theme I heard, Jacob, I was going to say, and not just from offensive line, but it's a family atmosphere, and they care about the players at Arkansas. That's what these players were all talking about. And I got to meet Hammer Time, Tosh Overton, the safety from Mobile, is committed to Arkansas. And he's 6'2", 190, and he is legit 6'2". Boy, he's good look. He is a good-looking kid, Mobile, Alabama, Williamson High School, committed to Arkansas some time ago. And he came on his visit, and he said he'd recruited some other players. He worked on Charles Bass, the defensive back from East St. Louis, Illinois, who was here, and said he thinks, Bass is going to visit Illinois next weekend, but Overton really liked Arkansas's chances with him. When I talked to Bass, I didn't get the feeling he was close to committing, but he did say he'd be making a decision fairly soon. Oh, and by the way, going back to Cash Courtney real quick, I told you he's committed to Baylor. He's going to visit Baylor, and then after that, he's going to make a decision soon after that, a permanent decision. So, but Arkansas is right there with them, and that's because of Mateus. They had some good defensive tackles in this weekend, and then Tavion Wallace, a linebacker from Georgia, got Florida State, Georgia. I mean, these schools, we're talking LSU, Georgia, Florida State. These are mostly all 4-stars, just about. And he visited a kid. I've got a story coming out at 1:30 in about 12 minutes. It's Kevin Otis from Hattiesburg, Mississippi, a 4-star defensive tackle, 6'2", 300. He's down to, I don't know if I don't guess I should say that, but he visited Arkansas this weekend. He's going to go to USC next weekend and then Mississippi State after that. He's got a lot of other offers, but those are the 3 top schools right now. But he really had a good visit. He's a 4-star with everybody except on 3. ESPN Rivals and 24/7 Sports all have him a 4-star. On three's composite has him a 4-star. So Otis is a composite 4-star. He talked about Deke Adams and just how Deke treats people. Kid already put a big picture on X of the visit. We had a big family deal here. Great people. And then I actually talked to Logan Schramm from Bernie about possibly, if he does eventually commit to Arkansas, he's got a lot more business, but if he does eventually coming on here and doing a show with us, and he was interested in that. So, but man, it's just Keyshawn Johnson, 4-star receiver, athlete from Hitchcock, Texas, was here. There again, got everybody after these kids, LSU, Texas. I mean, they're just USCs on all these kids. So it's, I don't think for right now, they got the 2 yesterday. Overton was already committed. I don't think you'll see any immediate commitments from this group other than the 3 that we've talked about. But I think eventually some of these kids, I feel very good. Eventually some of these kids will come to Arkansas. And like I said, I think of the 13, I think about 9 or 10 of them were 4-star. They did bring in Rashawn Perry from down in Covington, Georgia. And he committed to UCF over a lot. Auburn thought they had him. And he pulled a surprise, committed to UCF here a while back the other day, but then he showed up at Arkansas this weekend. So he said Arkansas offered him, told him if he visited, they'd offer him. They did. He visited, they offered him, and they're in the ballpark for him. So that's it. He's a defensive tackle. That's 6'3", 280. So that's not over. Bryson Jones is wide receiver, Frisco, Texas. Lone Star High School down in Frisco, Texas. I got to see my son last weekend from Frisco, Texas, up in Denver. I have to see him in Denver. I don't get to go to Frisco, but Bryson Jones was here. He's going to go to Texas Tech, I believe, next weekend. I know he's visiting Texas. I think he said next week. I'm sorry, Jay. I've got names are running together here. I mean, but yeah, he's visiting Texas Tech. That's his next visit. I know that, and I think it's next weekend. But regardless, he was here this weekend. Speedy receiver, so he's going to be making a decision probably before the season starts. He really likes Ronnie Fouch. Alyssa and I last time on here last Sunday, we talked about Ronnie Fouch, about recruiting speed and stuff, and both Jones and Johnson both talked about Fouch and how he had a detailed plan for them, there. So yeah. But anyway, it was a good weekend. They had a lot of visitors in. They got 2 commitments. I wouldn't say Tosh Overton solidified his commitment because it was never in doubt anyway, but he said he can't wait to get here. So, but his commitment was, he committed, he was never in doubt, but he said he can't wait to get here. And I really enjoyed seeing him because he is so legit 6'2". And so that he looks like a safety. That's what you need in the back end of the secondary. Said Arkansas talked to him about both safeties and the hog position, of course, which makes sense. He's probably about 190, 6'2", 190. His nickname's Hammer Time. And, so maybe they can do the MC Hammer deal on Hammer Time every time he makes a tackle at Razorback. They got to coordinate that at Razorback State, see if it's illegal to do that or something. Do the Hammer Time when he makes a tackle. I don't know, man. Probably young people listening to this probably think I'm doing that. Heck's he talking about? But anyway, it pays to be 100 years old sometimes, Jacob. But anyway, no, but yeah, it was a good weekend. Like I said, I'm not expecting, doesn't mean it won't happen, but I'm not expecting any new commitments from the other visitors right now, but eventually I do. But we'll see. They've got some more kids coming. And the next 3 weekends going to be the same thing. They've got group coming in next weekend, the following weekend, and then the following weekend. So we're going to be doing this the next 3 Sundays, talking about the same thing about kids. And like I said, the next weekend is going to be a big one because Carius Kern from Marion and O'Marion Robinson from Parkview, 2 big time players, will be here. The last weekend, not the last weekend in June, but the weekend before that, Grayson Wilson from Conway. It seems funny to say from Conway, but we've been saying Central Arkansas. He'll be here, Mark Wembley. So they're bringing in the in-state kids. You know, like I said, like you said, you start out, you're going after 5 from Parkview, you get 1. That's the only way you can get 5 is to start out getting 1 of 1. So, so they've done that. We'll see if they can, Robinson's going to be tough to pull in, but I do think it helped getting his teammate yesterday. I do think that maybe it didn't, but it didn't hurt. But I obviously didn't hurt, but I think it will help. But we'll see what Robinson does. He's going to make his own decision, as he should. The kid's a good kid, great player, great kid, great player. I mean, so he'll do what's best for him, and that's what he should do. But I feel pretty good about him, and and Jacory we're going to have on here pretty soon. After right now we can't because of all these visits. That's what's taking up all of our time. But Jacory Smith, I've told him I want him on here, and he's 26, so we've got some time on him. But my buddy that lives in DeQueen heard about Jacory Parkview because they played DeQueen in 2026, and he said, "Oh man, not that." So yeah, I told him Parkview's not running out of talent anytime soon. So get ready for a meltdown down there. But anyway, that's pretty much what I've got this week. But just it was a good week.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've mentioned before, you got to start with in-state kids and make as much of a run as you can when they're in the state, and then find your priorities out of state as well. I think it's interesting you mentioned Overton, an Alabama kid, and we've talked a lot about how they continue to recruit Alabama well. And when Evan and I were down in Hoover for the SEC baseball tournament, we talked to Davion Dozier, we talked to the Metcalfs, and that was something that meant a lot to both of them as well. They said the fact that Arkansas is making a run at the kids that, Auburn and Alabama maybe just fly under the radar for whatever reason. They're already full at the position. And for whatever reason, Arkansas has kind of found a little niche in Alabama. And obviously you prioritize in-state kids. But if you have an in the Birmingham area and Alabama as a whole, you use that as well. And I think it's a testament to the staff that they're doing so.
Yeah, it's just like going to Tulsa, you go to Alabama, you go to these states that surround here. And there's a lot of talent, and it's just like, I mean, they can't take everybody. Alabama can't take every prospect in Alabama, and some of the kids won't get. Which is like LSU can't take every good prospect in Louisiana. There's some very good prospects come out of Louisiana, Lucas and those guys at Arkansas, the Richard Smith. But so yeah, but and by the way, something we're going to be adding here in the next few weeks too. In the month of June will be these football camps are coming up at Arkansas. Arkansas is going to have a lot of football camps. Obviously, I'll be covering those along with the official visits. So there's going to be plenty of, it may not be football season, although we did find out the first 3 times for the kickoff this week. Well, we already knew the first one, but the next 2 games, we found out the times for them. But it may not be officially football season, but we're going to get through June with football visits, official visits, and a bunch of football camps.
Yeah, should be interesting to watch. Anything else before we go, Otis?
No, check your stories, guys, in about 3 minutes because I'm getting ready to put up a Kevin Otis story. And there's gonna be stories running every 30 minutes for the rest of it till they run out today. There's gonna be stories every 30 minutes. So, but there'll be a Kevin Otis at 1:30 today. I know they probably won't see this till after that, but I'm just saying check Pig Trail Nation out because there's getting ready to be a story about Kevin Otis. He's a good kid.
That's perfect tease right there. That's going to do it for this week's Arkansas Football Recruiting Report. Don't go anywhere. After the break, I catch up with Kevin McPherson, this week's Hog Hoops Report. Stay with us.